Hey folks, Moose here. I want to talk about teleconverters. Now with the introduction of the TC20E3, what goes up with this stuff, really? Anyway, with that, people are talking more about teleconverters. Now teleconverters are an incredibly important tool to photography. Now most people think that these teleconverters, their main thing is to make a small image, much bigger in the frame. That's not really the point of them. That is one of the aspects of attaching one. You do see things that are small, a little bit bigger, but we're not talking massive changes. We're talking about a 40%, 70%, or a 2x increase when it comes to image size. At the same time, keep in mind that this is going to suck up a stop of light, 1.5 stops, and this one is 2 full stops of light. This light that goes in here is gone. The 2 stops, 1.5, the 1, that light just disappears. You don't get it back. It doesn't come anyway. It just is sucked up because of the glass in here. Now, these teleconverters, people are calling, people are emailing, people are asking me, they're stopping on the street when I have coffee, are these really good tools? Are they sharp? Okay, TC14E2, TC17E2, TC20E3. These are out of my camera bag, okay? I didn't borrow them. These are mine. I use them all the time. These are important tools to my photography. So what does that mean? If they weren't sharp, if they didn't produce an image that I could use, they wouldn't be in my camera bag. I'm not sure why that relationship with people doesn't click. If I don't get sharp images, I'm out of business. It's that radically simple, okay? So with that said, people ask about commonly, because they don't understand it, I understand it, that whole thing, how come when I put on this teleconverter, my depth of field's not the same? Let's talk about that briefly. Depth of field. It's a formula. Focal length versus the hole in the back of that lens, okay, basically, in a nutshell, is how you determine depth of field. When you put the teleconverter on this lens, we're changing the focal length, aren't we? But what we're not doing is that hole, that diameter of the hole, it ain't changing. The diameter of the hole stays the same. So because we are changing the focal length, but we're not changing the hole in the back, the depth of field is not the same. So you have a 600 f4 lens right here, f4. When you put the, let's just go with the TC20E3 on here, we now have a 1200 millimeter f8 lens, but the f8 is the effective f-stop. What does that effective mean? It's sucking up those 2 stops of light. It's taking the light and it's just sucking them up. You don't get them back. So it's an effective f-stop. In effective f-stops, the depth of field's not the same. As Nikon says, it's 1/2 what the prime lens would be. Okay, so basically, you put this on there, you're at f8 effective, but your depth of field is probably closer to 5.6. It's actually a little bit less. It's a weird number. I ain't gonna remember it. I just think 5.6. Okay, so focal length changes, the hole in the back doesn't, so your depth of field is going to be less than the effective f-stop. That's the confusing part. Effective f-stop is not the same as the prime f-stop. So the 1.4, 1.7, the 2. Okay, out of the 3, the 1.7 is the one that I have on the 600 the majority of the time. The majority of the time. The 2, why did I get the 2? I have a project coming up later on where physically there's going to be me, a river, and the subject. The river isn't one that you're going to wade in, okay? It's going to be moving too fast. It's going to cause lens chatter. So to get the image size I want, I'm going to need this tool. That's why I have it, for those times only. Normally, when I'm shooting, I'm going to physically get close, then use one of these to narrow the angle of view to control the background. So hope that brings a little bit of light to the teleconverter situation. Hope that helps you out. Thanks for coming by.